Hi, I had the polio virus. I'm not really sure what this video is supposed to include, so I'll just give you a brief overview of what polio is. So first, a bit of the history of polio. In 1894, the first epidemic outbreak of the virus happened in the United States in Vermont with 132 reported cases. That number continued to get worse until they eventually developed a vaccine in 1947, and by 1953 it had been proven successful, and by 1955 the polio virus had decreased by 85% to 90%. So it basically was wiped out when they invented that vaccine. And it is transmitted through stool or through droplets from the mouth, or like from sneezing, from saliva. It can often infect water supply in areas and infect an entire area. It's very contagious, so it's very easy to spread, but if everyone takes vaccines, then it won't spread. Life cycle of polio, it's a little bit complicated, but it travels first through the digestive tract and makes its way to the intestinal system. And then it'll attach to intestinal cells and release RNA into the cytoplasm of the cell. This isn't extremely common from what I know, for it to just directly release RNA into the cytoplasm from the outside. It contains only positive stranded RNA, so once it's in the cell will make negative stranded RNA so that they have that complete set to later replicate it and make more of the viruses. And then proteins are made that require and they package the RNA that the cell has produced that has the virus in it, and then the intestinal cell will burst, and these viruses will enter the bloodstream, and they will eventually make their way to the nervous system, and once they make their way to the nervous system, that's when the disease will start showing, and it will start affecting you. The vaccine, there are two different forms, the Sabrin form and the Salk form. However, the Salk form is the only kind that is used in the United States because it is more effective. It's about 99% effective after 3 doses, while the Sabin is only 95% effective after 3 doses. IPV is a killed, Salk is also called IPV. It is a killed version, so the virus isn't able to reproduce once it's in the body. IPV produces antibodies in the blood to all 3 different types of the polio virus. And so if someone were to become infected with polio, the antibodies from the virus prevent the spread to the central nervous system and will kill it before it can start showing symptoms. There are some side effects of the polio vaccine, but overall it is worth the side effects because it is very effective, and it's very important to be vaccinated for polio. Common side effects are that around the area where the shot is injected, you can have tenderness, redness, or swelling because IPV is an injected vaccine. It is typically injected 4 times throughout your childhood. That's when it's recommended, but it can be given to adults if the child didn't get it when they were a child. In children, it can cause a fever, but that'll go away and it won't really affect you in the long run. And in adults, it can cause head and muscle ache. Some people are allergic to the polio vaccine, and you can't receive the vaccine if you have any moderate to severe illness, especially if you have a fever. Polio is very life-threatening, so that's another reason it's very important to get the vaccine. If it is contracted in childhood, 1 in 200 infections will lead to irreparable paralysis of the nervous system, and that will lead to them being paralyzed, and 5 to 10% will die because their breathing muscles will become paralyzed and they won't be able to breathe anymore. However, even though most children who contract polio will survive, um, there is a really large chance of, if you had polio when you were a child and you survived, when you're an adult, your symptoms will start to come back. And this is called post-polio syndrome. Symptoms include muscle pain, weakness, and paralysis. And it is much more dangerous to contract polio when you're an adult than when you're a child, because the rate in which polio will kill you if you contract it is 15 to 30% of adults who have polio will die from it. And so polio, it's not common at all now. The vaccine has pretty much gotten rid of it, but there are still cases of it. And in 1988, there was 35,000 cases worldwide estimated, but now with the polio vaccine in 2017, there have only been 22 reported cases in 2017. So that's really good that they were able to make that go down so much. The only places where polio virus still exists is Nigeria, Pakistan, and Afghanistan. But other than that, every other country in the world has pretty much wiped it out, and it's not a problem anymore. So that's polio. I don't know if I'm supposed to show my model or not, so this is just going to be it. Thank you.